You started with Salesforce, you purchased the licenses, and then you received these standard sales marketing call center apps. Okay, these are the ones which were given by Salesforce.com. Now your company says that we want to do a little more on Salesforce. We want to do, let's say, we want to manage our employees on Salesforce. Okay, or we want to manage our projects as well on Salesforce. Right. Basically, the project management team and the HR team, they also want to put their data into Salesforce. Managing employees means employees information, their leaves, time and expenses information, the trainings that they're doing, that information, everything we want to track on Salesforce, right? For when I say we want to manage projects on Salesforce, every information related to project should be maintained on Salesforce, right? So that way, right? Now for that, Salesforce does not have an app. They have not created anything, but they provide us with a platform. We can use the platform to design our own apps, right? Okay. So let us take a scenario, okay, and then design an app on that scenario. All right. So we will definitely learn what are the different components in an app, what all we need to create, how we need to create. So that is all transactional thing. But what we want to do here is we would do it using a scenario so that you can understand it in a better way, and so parallelly you also learn a scenario which you can use during your interview also, right? So instead of straight away telling you that just go ahead and create this component like this, we are gonna take a simple example and design an app with that example. Okay. Okay. So let's think of what example we can take. Okay. Okay. Let's design an app of consultant management for staffing companies. Okay, let's take this scenario. Why I take this is because the process may be a little similar, familiar to you. You might know the process and all. You all belong to these some kind of what to say, staffing company, some recruiting company, consulting company, and there will be a certain process there. So let's design, let's say there is this app which needs to be designed for this company. Then how does it work? Okay, so let's look into this. So first of all, before you start doing anything on Salesforce, before you even touch Salesforce, you have to start designing the data model for it. Okay. So that is where we start designing it. All right. So designing an app is different from creating a table or a field. Okay. Eventually, during this exercise of designing the app, we will also see how to create objects and fields and everything. And I'll talk about those components. But first of all, you should prepare a data model. So what sort of a schema, what sort of a data model should be required? So best way for you to start with is open an Excel spreadsheet. Think of what all tables will be required. See, again, if we talk about MVC, model, view, and controller, right? So first we will design the model layer for the app. Model layer means the data model, right? So at the back end, what all database tables are required, what all relationships are required. So we will start thinking on those. All right. So we'll start working on this particular app. All right. So we are all good with this app, or you want to design some other app? This concept is good. You can do take this up. If we want, you can take let's say an recruiting app also, but recruiting app is something already there, which is available as an example. Or we can do an HR app, or we can do a project management app. So what do you guys want to do? Because this is your app you are designing, and you will be doing it. So which scenario you want to take? Quick vote.
HR management, human resources.
Third one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. But only thing, anything is fine. Like. Okay. So this is also, see, these three are primarily related to HR only. The why I actually wanted to do this one, because what we can do is we know the process, right? So we can try and put things there. In HR management, we will have fewer things to put into this, right? So you can think of more concepts and all that stuff in terms of the first one. All right. So okay. Anyways, it's HR or it's the consultant management? What is the data that we have to store first? So what would be the first table that is required? What
Employee.
Employees. Very good. Okay. So now the first table that we need is employees, right? I want everyone to be a little active on this exercise. You guys will suggest, and I'll just put things into perspective. That's it. Okay. So think, what else do we need? So employee is there. All right. Nice. Okay, employees is there. Now what all information do we need to track regarding employees? What fields basically? So that's the table. Now we are talking about what all columns of data we will need to store. Yeah.
Joining date.
Okay. Do we want to start with the name or something, or straight away joining date?
A name.
Yeah, first name, last name. Okay. Other thing is, one second. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So first name, last name, 2 fields, huh? What else? Okay, before we get into other things, whenever you have a name option, all right, and you are trying to put the name thing in Salesforce, it's a good practice to put first name and last name separately. All right. A lot of databases you might have seen that. Do you know why? What is the reason why that is required or something? Instead of this,
Maybe when we are importing or exporting data, and the other sources may have first name, last name,
so
different fields.
that can be
Easy to search.
I mean, if it's first name, last name different in some other source, I can club, right? It's just a simple concatenate formula for me, and I can import. So that okay. Someone else was saying something. Easy to search. How does that help?
It's easy to search because if you know only the first name, it's easy to search.
So you can search based on the last name as well, right?
Yeah, either last name or first name. If you combine, then it's difficult. Right?
All right. So yeah, sometimes it becomes a little easier to search because sometimes people may have, you know, it might be difficult for you to search the person using the first name, and you can use the last name to search that person and sort and all that stuff. The most important thing, which is very helpful here to put, if you put first name and last name separately, is while you send those automated emails, okay, you can just say dear, let's say Sandhya. So you don't have to say the full name, first name, last name. Okay. So while you have to merge these things and all that stuff, it's helpful there, right? Putting a merge fields in an email, and apart from that, sorting becomes a little easier, right? However, sometimes you don't, you have certain data where you don't have to send email and all that stuff. Then you can combine the first name, last name, and just keep a name field instead of this. Okay. Okay, good. So we'll go with the first name and the last name, and what other joining date is something someone said. Okay, that's good. What else?
Address, phone
Address.
number,
Okay, address should be one field or multiple fields.
multiple.
Okay, so address can have a street address, it can have a city, it can have a state, it can have a postal code, and then it can have phone. Okay, and then you can have
Email.
alternate phone, email, alternate email. Because this is employees data, you might want to keep one alternate phone and alternate email also available with you, right? One primary and secondary phone numbers. Okay, what else? So most of the
Reporting
details were
manager. Reporting to whom?
reporting to whom? Okay.
Or department.
Okay. Department. What else?
Designation.
Title. All right. More suggestions. So we are kind of done with the employees information, right? If we can think of more fields, we will just add them at that time. Okay. So this is the first table, employee information. So we have included the name, joining date, address, phone, email, all these things here. Now the next thing that you do is you have to put the data type. What data type will go? Sandhya, you were trying to say something? You wanted to add something? No? Okay. So, yeah.
Sorry, if it is like a consulting company, then every employee has their own other stuff like to which company they are working,
The experience.
experience, to which company,
Okay.
a lot of other stuff too.
Okay. Fine. So all this information related to this employee is required. Very good. Now the next thing that we have to do is we just have to put the data types for all the fields. What type of data will go into which field? Like first name is going to be text, last name is also going to be a text, joining date is going to be date, address will be text. Okay, so here itself on your the plan itself, you decide which all fields, what will be the data type for that field, right? Okay, and city will be, what will be city? Text or pick list?
Text.
Also
City will be text or pick list.
yeah.
Shall we make city as a drop down?
Oh yeah, we can make. But I don't know.
State also let it be a pick list or drop down. Postal code can be a text. Phone, there is a phone field available. This will be also phone. Email field is there.
Postal code should be number, right?
Some places do have postal code as a combination of a number and text. I think Canada also has text and number. So you can, depending on
Okay.
you can make it number. Reporting to Canada, I think UK has a combination of numbers and digits. Okay, reporting to. Okay, what will be the data type here?
Text.
Why text?
I guess it would be lookup relationship with other employee.
Right. So how many of you did that assignment that I gave yesterday? That prepare a chart of the relationships. So you might have seen. Huh?
I did that, but I forgot to email you. I just sent you an email 5 minutes ago.
Okay, no problem.
That assignment. Yes.
So if you looked into the campaign object, the one that we were working on yesterday, the campaign thing, campaign had one field called parent campaign, right? So this concept is similar to that. Okay, so that campaign and the parent campaign, both of them are campaign. The child campaign, parent campaign, both of them are campaign, and both of them are tracked under this particular object, right? But it's actually looping into the same object, and it's one of the campaign is going to be the parent of the other. So that is what. So same concept applies here. So this has to be a lookup on the same table. On the same table. Correct?
Yeah. Instead of reporting to, we can write supervisor here. Right? That would be better.
What is the spelling? SOR, SER?
SOR.
Yeah. Okay. Now department can be again a pick list. So you can have 5-6 departments at the max in the company. So you can have a pick list there. Okay. Title can be text. Experience can be long text.
I guess title could also be pick list because the titles are fixed in a company.
That's also correct. All right. So one object is done. Now what is the other object that we need here? What is the second object that we need? Which one? Sorry.
Payroll. Payroll.
Payroll.
Yeah.
Okay. But apart from that, do we need to track other things?
I guess the department.
So fine. that is the reason why I was thinking that we will go with this consultant management. Okay, so let's try to put it in that perspective. Let's try and talk about the process a little, how it works actually, and then we will start getting the objects from there. Okay, now whenever you start designing an app, you also do a bit of analysis. You try sit with the client and try to understand their process. Okay, so let me just go and do a bit of deep dive into the process thing. Okay, so let's say this is the process. So first of all, the consultant is contacted. So there are some consultants who do apply, or whatever consultant applies. Okay, then consultant's training happens. He's trained on certain things. Okay, so first stage is the consultant applies into a certain consulting company. Then they arrange for a training. Okay, then the training happens. Then he is deployed to some client. So that is the third thing. Alright. Then when he is deployed to the client, basically that's a client project, and then there is this payroll thing which comes into picture. So there are 4-5 things which we are talking about here, right? So this is how the scenario is, right? The consultant applies, consultant's training happens, it's deployed to some clients, projects and payrolls and everything. Got that? So this is what we have here. Now based on
this, is it deployed to some client?
I mean, he is actually put on some project for some client, right? So either he is deployed to the client location or something.
Okay, so what is the client project?
So yeah, it's both the same thing, but why I have written these two things, because we need to track in terms of objects. We need to track both the things, right?
Okay.
We need to track.
Maybe in between marketing will come.
Sorry.
Marketing.
A bit of marketing which is done on the resume is okay. Okay, marketing. Okay, let me put it this way. Let me remove this and say client project here. Makes sense. Alright. So from here, if you just look into the process, you will get ideas of what all other objects we need to put here. Right. So this is a generic staffing company. Okay, for the process of any staffing company, right? So now, what all other objects do you think we need to still put here? Look into the process. So the process is pretty simple. Let's say I am the client, I am giving you the process and you have to suggest me the solution. The process that I am explaining is pretty simple. The consultant applies, then it is checked. Some consultants can directly be moved into some projects. For some consultants, there is a training which is required. If there is a training required, after the training is done, the consultant is put on a certain project, and that's it. And then the payroll stuff, if you want to include into. So what all other objects do we need?
Applications.
Sorry, which one?
Applications.
Okay, consultant apps, applications, okay. Okay, what else do you think we'll require as objects?
Client.
Training.
Clients.
Training.
Clients. What is the other thing? Sorry, clients.
Training.
Yeah, and
Training.
projects and the trainings. Very good. Trainings, right? So then let's make this as consultant. Okay. So again, if you look into this, this is also pretty much similar to going, similar to your what is that? Leads, accounts, contacts, opportunity, that kind of a process flow. So initially the application comes and then the qualified applications go and get added as consultants, and then there is a training which is arranged. So almost going the same kind of thing. So that's fine. Now what we can do here is for client, let's say I will have the name of the client, I will have website and the same 3 fields. Address, fax, alright. For project we can have a name of the project, and we can have a start date, we can have an expected end date, we can have an actual end date, and there will be a client for the project which is going to be looked up with a client. Let me know anything which you are not understanding, and keep on giving suggestions. I am adding things, what are the ones which are very common and simple. Whatever things you want to add, please let me know. So
Length of project.
duration.
Duration. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so duration is fine.
I guess we have start date and end date, so
Expected date, yeah.
do we need
Fine.
duration?
Let's have a field, no problem. Let's say the end user does not want to see the start date and end date and do the calculation. Just looking at the duration, they can get an idea: 6 months, 12 months, that sort of thing. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Duration or length, absolutely fine. What else? Training programs which are trainings which are being done. So training will be for consultant, right? So we cannot, okay, in training you cannot give a name to every training program that you are doing, right? So because training program is something where it's difficult to give a new name to every training program. In that case, we will use a training number or training ID. Like for example, when a company takes orders, yesterday you might have seen cases, orders. So it's difficult to give a number to to a name to an order and case, a new name every time, right? So in that case, we use case number, order number, case ID, order ID, that sort of things. So for trainings also we can use that training ID, because we will not find specific names for each training program as such. So this can be made an auto number. Okay, so ID, start date, again I think the training can also have the start date, expected end date, actual end date, and which consultant is a part of that training. Qualified fees. What what do we want to have in applications? What all fees?
Resume, cover letter.
Okay, resume, cover letter. These are not things which will get stored in our database, right? On our data table. So how do we store all these things in our data?
Maybe just title and short description.
Okay.
Years of experience.
Now start thinking about any job portal that you have uploaded your resume on. While we upload our resume on a job portal, it asks us to upload the resume. Along with that, it asks us to fill a few fields as well. How many years of experience, what all skills you have, what's your date of birth, these kind of things. Some fields are also required to be filled. You know why it does that? Because what you are uploading goes as an attachment, that goes as a whole unit. Okay. But what you fill in the fields, those go and get stored in the database table. Okay. Now our querying of the data and all that stuff can be done based on what data is available in the database table. Query cannot go and run inside a PDF resume, right? So that is the thing. You got my point? So here also, if you are talking about applications, because I cannot put the complete resume, you can attach a resume and upload it. In Salesforce, you have an option of uploading attachments, documents and all. But I will not be able to query the data and find the right applications when I need. So for that, I have to create a table. So in the table, we can have some of the information from the resume, the most important information. Like name is the required. I think we can have the first name, last name thing. Name is required. Total experience. Skills we can have as a multi-pick list. So this part of information can get inside a table also, correct? So that whenever I want to check for people who have minimum 3 years experience, I can quickly put a query and find out the data, correct? So that is there. The total experience, skills, application date, date applied, visa status. Okay. Now, do you think somewhere this object, just tell me, what you feel. Do you think this object and this object somewhere are almost on the same track, almost similar fields and all,
Yeah.
right? That is what we see. Application and the consultant object are almost on the same this thing, right? They have the same fields and all that stuff. So we don't need two different objects here, right? We can manage with one single object also. This will happen a lot of times. Let's say you're designing an app for an agent. Now for agent, they store, it can be agent for anything, right? Now this agent has data of the buyers as well as the sellers. Now when this agent is maintaining his database, he will not create two different tables for buyer and seller. He can create one single table for the buyer and sellers. Got it? So that is how it is. So when we are talking about applications, we are tracking all this information. I think we can combine it with the consultant object. There are only a few fields which are different in both of them. Skills I think is required for consultant also. Like date of application is one field, and other fields are almost similar. I see that, right? So almost all the fields are required. All the fields are common, right? So we can continue with one single object. Alright, how we will put both of them in the single object, I will show it to you. We'll look into that. Yeah. Ravi says he has a question. Yeah, Ravi, please go ahead. I cannot hear you, by the way. Hello, Ravi. Okay, sure, type it. Okay, that's absolutely fine. Okay, okay. So Ravi says that the consultant is an employee and applicant is not an employee. So that is a major difference. Absolutely fine. So applicant is not an employee and consultant is an employee. But the point is that while we are tracking this data, what we consider is the fields that we are required to store for both these cases. Alright. So whether one of them is employee and the other is not an employee, from the database perspective, the data which is required to be stored is same, right? Here, I can have a type to differentiate between consultant and applicants. Let's not put it here. I can have a type, okay, and this can be a pick list, and this can have two options, whether he is an employee or applicant. Fine. Okay. Ravi says applicants are temporary and will be deleted after a certain period of time. So yeah, you can definitely delete those from here also. Okay, to make things a little more easy, let's go back to yesterday's the default sales app thing. The reason why we discussed on the sales app is we can take a lot of ideas from there, right? That though it seems to be a simple app, but they have used really very good concepts of building the data model there. So think of account. We are talking about applicant and employee, right? Applicant is someone who has not become employee, is still to become employee. So what are we doing in accounts? Are we only tracking the clients or are we tracking prospects as well? We're doing both the things, right? So in the sales app, we do not see one for prospects and one when they become a client. Fine, this way it will become difficult for you, right? So the same concept we are trying to use here. Okay, an applicant is a prospect. It has not yet turned an employee, but may turn employee, right? And one more thing, a company might not want to delete the data of the applicants also, right? Someone who applied or someone who is in the pipeline did not go through the training or is not working on the project, you might still want to store the data because it's not taking you in it's not taking any effort from you to retain the data. At a later point of time, tomorrow if you have a different requirement, you might ask call the same applicant that okay, last time when you applied we did not have a project, now we have a project here, right? So data is usually not deleted. And that is again for our understanding. Whenever you are talking to a client or whenever we are working on a project, we always recommend the clients that even if it is the most useless data you feel, just keep it. I mean, if you have data storage space, if you can archive the data, if you can keep it, just keep it. You never know what data you are going to use when, right? So that is there. All right. So here we are. So we have created all these objects now. So this is object 1, consultants. The other object is for applicants. Third one is for the clients. This is for projects and the trainings. Alright. Now once we have understood this thing, okay, applicants is to be merged with to be clubbed with consultant. We'll do it while creating the object on Salesforce. Alright. So data model design is ready. Okay. Now it's just a matter of going and starting to design your app on Salesforce. So Ravi, can you share your login ID password you gave me yesterday?
Hello?
Hello. Yeah. Now your microphone is working. Can hear your
Okay.
voice.
Got my ID and password, right?
Yes. Okay. So we will start designing this from the app. First of all, we'll create an app, okay, on the Salesforce. You see these apps here. So first of all, we'll add an app here. Okay, I'll show you how to create an app here. So once you have added this app, then we will start designing the objects. So we have thought of a few objects here. We'll create the object, and inside the object we'll create the fields. Okay. So I'll just do a small example, and this remaining part of the application is something that you will complete as an assignment. Okay. So I'll just start with one object, and I would ask you guys to go and complete this app design. Okay, that's the first part of assignment. So let's create an app. How do you create an app? You create an app by clicking on setup, create apps. Okay, so go to setup, create apps, and say new app. New custom app, click on next, give a name, consultant manager. Let's see. Okay. So while you're creating the app, it could ask if you want any predefined tabs in this app. So for the time being, just don't include anything. Let it be a blank thing. Home tab is by default there. You cannot remove it. But I'm not including any other tab, account, campaign, all these things. If I want one or two of them, I can include. Let's say instead of clients, I can use accounts. Right, if I want. If I don't, I already have accounts available. I might not want to design the client's thing on, so I can use that. But in this case, we will make it a complete custom app, and we will not take help of any standard things. So let me not take account. Go to next, right? Okay, on this step 5, just click on visible. Don't do anything here, just click on visible and proceed. All right. And then click on save. Just click on visible and proceed further. Okay. So now that thing has happened. Now that particular thing is done. Now what we have to do, the other thing that we have to do here is we have to create the objects. So app is ready. Click on this drop down and see consultant manager. If you click on this app, you will see that okay, this is a blank thing. We do not have any objects or tabs here at this point of time. So we'll go ahead and create the objects. Now these are all the objects that we have to create. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 objects we are thinking of. Okay, we'll go ahead and create. But before that, we will go to setup. We go to create objects, right, and click on new custom object. So go to setup, create objects, new custom object. What's the name of my object? Consultant. Save this. Okay, so your object is created. Now whenever you create a table in Salesforce, we have thought of these fields, right? These are all the fields that we are thinking of. Salesforce by default creates 4 standard fields in any object. Created by created date, created by last, modified by, yeah, date is also part of that. Last, modified by owner and name. Okay, so these are 4 standard fields which will by default come in all the objects that you create. You don't have to do anything for this, or you cannot avoid this. These are standard fields, this will be there. Got it? For every object that you create, every custom object that you create, custom object is basically the object that we are creating, and standard object refers to the ones which were already there. So for every custom object that you create, these fields are going to be there. These 4 fields: created by, last, modified by, owner of the record, name. Got it? So we cannot skip these things. So that's fine. They have provided these 4 fields by default. Other fields which you want to add, you can add from your side. So you can add new fields like joining date of the consultant. So this is where you select the data type. What data type will be there for joining date? It's going to be date. Okay, pick the data type as date. Go to next and say joining date. All right, go to next. So just go to next, save it, that's it. So your field is ready. This way you can keep on adding more fields under the custom fields. Okay, so you can add all these fields. So we have created the app, we have created the object. The other thing that we have to do is we have to create the tab. At this point of time, you don't see this object, consultant object here as a tab. You don't see a tab to connect to this object. So the next thing that you have to do, you just have to go to setup, create tabs. So firstly we created the app. So once the app is created, you have created that particular space. where you will add the objects. Then you went to this setup create object, you created the object, and now we are adding the tabs. So just go to setup create tabs. So create the tab and click on new. Tab, new tab for which object? Consultant. Tab style is an option which you can choose. This is basically a combination of a small icon and a color. So you can take whatever you want. Let's say this one. Go to next. For the time being, don't do anything here. Let it be as it is. Click on next. These are all which you will start understanding once we talk about security. Now, while you're creating the tab, it asks you which all apps you want this tab to be visible on. So there are so many apps which are listed here. Out of these apps, which all apps you want this tab to be visible on? Let me make it visible only on Consultant Manager. Okay. So as I told you, we are just going to include the tab in which apps we need it. So we don't have to include it in all the apps. Basically, a sales app does not need to see the consultants thing, right? So it should be available only in the consultant manager. So just include it like this. Click on save. So now my tab is ready. Now the end user can just come to the consultant manager, go to the consultants, and then he can start accessing the data of the consultant object. Add new consultant, edit the data, delete the data, and all that stuff that can happen. Right? Tell me if you have a question here. So I have just shown a demonstration of what can be done, how it is done. You guys have to take it forward from here. You have to design this complete app. So whatever objects and fields that we have thought of, and can you take a screenshot of this? Just take a screenshot of it and try to build further on this. You know, if you want to add more fields and all, at least this much should be done. But if you plan to build more fields and all that stuff, you can do that as well. Done. Taking the screenshot, or let me take a screenshot and send it to you all. Alright. So